Welcome to the Geek Homeworld podcast. I'm your host, Ed, aka The Savage Tech Man. We talk film, TV, and tech, all from a geek perspective. You can find us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and you can subscribe and follow on YouTube at Geek Homeworld. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Be a part of the Geek Homeworld. Hello, everyone. Hello, the world. And Ed Ciucevich here. I'm back with my good friend, Scott Schreiber. Welcome back, Scott. We're doing our post-OSCARS show, or follow-up. Better late than never. This is going to be super quick, and by that I mean 12 hours long. So I'm half asleep. It's been a busy day, and anyway, so thank you, Scott, for being here. I can almost see you out of my right eye. It's still pollen's killing me, but I'm going to make it. So what are your overall thoughts about the 97th Oscar presentation?
I really enjoyed the telecast, but I'm a big time Conan fan, as we said in our pre-show. So it was one of the more enjoyable telecasts I've ever seen because of Conan and his writing staff. I know that there may be a couple bits that didn't land because him and his writing staff are, tend to be on the silly side. Right. So the sandworm playing the instruments might not have landed with people, but for me, it was classic Conan, so I loved it. So I actually really enjoyed the telecast. I wasn't at all bummed that the music wasn't like the best songs weren't performed, because I enjoyed, obviously, the opening with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo was pretty special. And then I liked the James Bond thing. I thought that it was interesting that they decided to play 3 songs for James Bond, but they weren't going to play the Oscar nominated songs. But still, it's like it was something different. So I didn't mind that at all. It felt like a different kind of telecast to me because of Conan and because of, we had the Bond tribute. We had the nice tribute with Morgan Freeman for Gene Hackman. There were some good moments there. So, yeah, overall, I enjoyed it.
My thoughts were I enjoyed it. There was like one political joke that like you said, some people didn't catch it till later. I enjoyed that, but the fact that it was pretty much apolitical, I thought was great. We focused on the films, which is what people want from the awards show.
You're right. I think there were only 2 or 3 acceptance speeches where it even got somewhat political. Right. They mostly did just stick to the films, which was nice. And Conan, like you said, Conan had his one big jab at the
current administration,
at the current administration with the Russia joke. And you're right. I think people weren't expecting it from Conan. Like, he does do political jokes, but that's not usually his forte. So, but I thought he felt like he had to do it, and his writers felt like they had to do it. So they did. They did one good one, and that was enough, right? So
it was enough for me because I didn't want any politics in there, and they served up a show that I enjoyed. I mean, I liked it. We were talking a little bit about the musical number. Some people didn't get it with the sandworm. There was the "I'm not wasting your time bit." So
right, and that's the Conan humor. The tongue-in-cheek Conan O'Brien humor. And it also, he did a lot of self-deprecating jokes, is what his brand is.
I like the Conan Oscars that they had.
Yes,
I like them. And the Cynthia Erivo. Oh my God! Her and Ariana Grande. Wow, just like wowed me. Both of them wowed me, but Cynthia really wowed me. I was like, incredible.
Yeah, that was a show-stopping opener. Obviously, I think everybody was hoping that "Defying Gravity" would be performed, and it wasn't the entire song, but it was the ending, which is the best part of the song anyway, right? And she hit that note. With Arivo hitting that note live, that's just like she's a special.
All I could think is somewhere Whitney Houston was really proud of her. I think she put herself out there really.
That was a nice touch because it was a throwback. Obviously, Wicked is in the Wizard of Oz world, obviously, and then
because Ariana was singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and she put a little twist on it. It's a beautiful song anyway, and she did it justice, and they both look spectacular. And there was another performance in there, and I can't think of it now. I'm drawing a blank that I thought was impressive, but I can't remember what it was.
Well, there weren't that many musical performances. Other than that, you had the James Bond tribute with Lisa.
Oh, yeah.
It was Lisa from Blackpink, Doja Cat, and I believe someone Ray. I think that all three of them have a new song out together. So it was kind of like a cross promotional thing for them there. But they did a good job with the James Bond tribute. It was Live and Let Die, Diamonds Are Forever, and Skyfall. Is like hoping that Adele would come out, but Ray.
That would have been spectacular. She would have tore it up.
But they did a good job. That was good. But that was pretty much all the musical performances. That Bond tribute was kind of. It felt like it was great to see Margaret Qualley out there, but like. Yeah. It just felt weird that like she was a part of that. It was like, why is she a Bond girl and out there dancing? Didn't quite make sense to me, but
it wasn't the most impressive to me, but it wasn't terrible.
But just to touch back on Conan, and I think the stamp that him and his writing team put on it. There are little bits like when he had the LA Fire Department read the jokes. Like that was a great way to actually get them involved. It was so annoying in the other
when they
in the other award shows, where it's like, we want to thank you, and then it just cuts to a shot of them in the crowd. This way, Conan actually used them, put them in the show, and this is kind of a bit that David Letterman used to do, and it's kind of like it's really smart that they did that. I thought that was one of the better moments in the night. And then you had the Cinema Streams commercial where it was basically Conan, but getting people to go to the theater in the ruse that it was a streaming service. That was a pretty fun bit. So I think Conan and his writing team killed it. I enjoyed all of their bits that they did. So
there was the one guy that didn't get to say a speech. I don't know if it was foreign language film, but they started playing him off, and the other two guys that spoke, and I can't remember who it was. Somebody I didn't know, and I kind of wish if Conan would have found the guy and brought him out there real quick and let him say his like 2 minute or 1 minute or 30 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, especially when Adrian Brody had
told him to stop playing the music. Yeah,
he had I don't know. I think they're trying to get that confirmed as the longest speech in Oscar history. So.
It was a hefty speech, but he's like, I've been here before. What have he said? He's like, I know how this works.
Yeah, I've done this. I've been here, done that.
At that point, you're like, everybody's tired. They want to end the night. But, that's one of the high points of the show's, best actor. So, I still, who was it said, one of the people that our favorite, probably our favorite director of Dune, I forget the name.
Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah. They gave him homage, that.
Oh yeah,
great director, and I'm like, he should have been nominated. Probably should have won. I don't know, but anyway, so that was a bit of a snub there. Anyway, I guess any further thoughts? Otherwise, we'll go into the list of who won, who we thought, and
just quickly, I guess there was one other music performance was the Wiz was the Quincy Jones tribute.
Queen Latifah was
where Latifah did "Ease on Down the Road," which I love that song. I don't think she was quite on key, but
she wouldn't have been the person I thought would be singing it.
But I feel like she maybe was in the show on Broadway or did the show, so it made sense.
Maybe.
So
I thought, and I don't know how her singing prowess is now, but Patti LaBelle could have really tore that up. She could have took that to town. I don't know. I'm just saying that. I'm just thinking of who could have sang it, maybe. Or Diana Ross actually was in The Wiz. She could have probably sang it better than anybody. I don't know why they didn't ask her, but I don't know. I didn't dislike it. It was okay, but yet I get what you're saying. It didn't feel quite, next level. Well, it was good, but it's certainly better than I could do.
But overall, like, our point in we were trying to make predictions, trying to help you out with your Oscar pool and everything. We didn't do too bad. We got 15 out of 23.
Did we?
Okay. So that's not too bad.
Sounds like a math test.
Right. And two-thirds. We got 2/3 right. And 3 of the ones we missed were the shorts, which we had no clue. So
right.
Those don't even really count, right? So we were 15 out of 20. So that's not too bad. And the ones that we didn't get right we said, oh, it could be this one, and that was the one.
Right.
So
yeah.
But yeah, let's go ahead and look at that. Let's see how we did here.
Let's pull up the list here. Let's see. I thought I did. Oh, I got to switch to this. There we go. So if you want to explain the color system we have here.
Oh yeah, if we see it in red, it means we got it wrong. So it's like a traffic light here. So if you see it in red, we got it wrong. If it's in green, that's what actually won. So as you see here on the shorts, we got all the 3 shorts wrong. I'm Not a Robot, 1 live action short, and then In the Shadow of Cypress, 1 animated short. And The Only Girl in the Orchestra, the one that we said that was the only one that was available for people to watch, was the one that won, which that makes sense, doesn't it? So but nothing much happened on these. I felt bad for Sterling K. Brown and Ana de Armas, where they only presented live action short film. It was kind of felt beneath them. I don't know. But yeah, not much on those. The Goldie Hawn. It was like Goldie Hawn and Andrew Garfield presented one of those, and that was really awkward.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah, and she was like, I thought she was making a joke about having the cataracts and not being able to see, but I think maybe there was a little truth to that.
Yeah,
she's still a beautiful woman, but she is up in age, and it's fine. I think it's finally starting to show, beyond whatever plastic surgeons can do.
Yeah, and it wasn't just her. Garfield was just kind of creepy. Like he was
felt creepy. I felt like he was there holding her up. It kind of felt that way, she was and
But yeah, so we didn't do too well in those categories, but we then we got the visual effects and sound both right. We got Dune the 2 that Dune Part 2 won. So Dune did not go away empty-handed. Visual effects and sound, we figured those 2 were going to happen. Right. The interesting thing, the presentation of visual effects had Gal Gadot and Rachel Ziegler. They're trying to get the promotion out there for Snow White, which I'm not sure if that's going to do well or not. Obviously, with all the controversy ahead of time, but
did they seem a little by the numbers? I felt there was a little tension between them, or maybe I'm just seeing.
Yeah, like that one. Some of the presenters, it looked like Conan's writing team really helped them out. Like the Ben Stiller bit was great. We'll get to that.
Oh yeah,
but then some of these presenters were just it was just by the numbers, pretty standard stuff.
A part that fell out, didn't really work for me was I call him Billy Madison. Adam Sandler and the audience.
Oh, you didn't like that? I thought that was great because it's a callback to how he always dresses poorly.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if you watched the SNL 50.
I thought they were making fun of that Democratic senator that dresses funny.
No. This is just Sandler's
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is how Sandler. No, this is how Sandler dresses to everything. Okay. But I don't know if you watched the SNL 50.
I haven't watched all of it.
He wore a suit for that, which I thought was great. But yeah. So Dune got its 2 awards there: best sound, best visual effects, and then here we saw Emilia Perez, so one for best song. That was
that's the one that Mick Jagger gave out.
Correct. So evidently Bob Dylan was asked to do it, and he said,
I thought that was a joke.
No, I think it's real. I think it was for real. They really wanted Dylan to do it because of, a complete unknown this year.
Really, especially if Chalamet would have won Best Actor, I would have loved if Bob Dylan came out there and he got to meet him for the first time, because he hasn't met Bob Dylan yet because he's kind of a recluse. That would have been awesome. And
I don't think that's not it's not Bob Dylan-esque to come to award shows. Like I think.
Yeah.
He's been up for Oscars before, and I don't think he showed up. So,
well, Mick Jagger was hilarious. I thought he just was he was one of the highlights of the show for me. I enjoyed it, and he's like, "Yeah, you got somebody younger," because he's like, I had my wife look it up, or she looked it up for me. He's only like 2 years younger. He's like 81, and I think Dylan's like 83. Right. So the fact that he's younger. And I just had in my mind, I guess, because Elton John was there, they showed Elton John, and I thought because they brought Jagger up, that meant that Elton John, it didn't mean that they won. And I'm like you, I didn't really know any of the original songs. Diane Warren didn't get her Oscar, so far she's got last year's honorary Oscar.
Yeah, no. So this was where Amelia Perez, people still voted for it here. It really got hurt by all the controversy. It only took home 2 Oscars when it was, at one point it was the front runner. It has the most, it had the most nominations with 13, but all the controversy with the lead actress's tweets and then the AI stuff, it just was all too much. But it held on here for best song for El Mal. So yeah. And then best score, we were correct there. It went to The Brutalist. That was Mark. God love Mark Hamill, but he just didn't look good, did he?
He looked off. I don't know physically his hair. I don't know what it was. He just seemed off.
And so did the composer for The Brutus. Looked like he was straight out of Nosferatu. He looked like a vampire.
Maybe that was weird.
Yeah, that was a weird speech too, where he kind of got started to get played off, and then he did. I don't know. That was odd, but yeah. So we were correct there for the score for The Brutalist. That was one of its 3 wins. Other than one other film last night, The Brutalist was the second biggest winner with 3.
Production design, we nailed that one. That was a no-brainer.
Yeah, so all the craft awards we were pretty dead on here. So Wicked, we saw it won its 2 awards, which we thought would be production design, which that was, definitely very deserving for production design.
Right.
With all those practical sets. That was the Ben Stiller. He did the production design thing, and that was great. I wish that
was one of the funniest. I had forgotten until you said it. That was definitely one of the funniest things last night. I was laughing, and he was jumping up at the end,
where the stage didn't lift him all the way up. It's something so simple, but I wish that they had done more bits like that. And I guarantee you, Conan's writing team had a hand in that. But when you have somebody with the comedian like Ben Stiller, it's all right, let's do something different. Right. And that was definitely probably the most memorable presenter of the night, in my opinion, because of the bit. So,
exactly.
So yeah, happy to see Wicked win there. And then makeup and hair. See, thought maybe that would go to Wicked, but we ultimately predicted Substance, and it won. It's a big win for the horror genre.
Now, I did not see the Substance, but that was the opening where Conan came out of Demi Moore.
Yeah,
that was hilarious and disgusting.
Yeah, that's Conan.
And he's like, I left my pen somewhere. I lost my pen. Where's my wallet or my shoe or whatever he was looking for?
Yeah, no, he left his shoe, so he had to go back in. Yeah. But yeah, so Substance, very deserving body horror film. I didn't really look into the history of it, but I'm assuming horror type films have won before in this category, but probably not that common. So it's a big win for the horror genre, especially because this ended up being the only award for The Substance. People thought it might take best actress, but
right.
It did not. But so yeah, we were there. We were correct there on makeup and hair.
Let's see what's next.
And that was the presenters there were that was a good moment with June Squibb and Scarlett Johansson. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Where June Squibb said, Bill Skarsgård plays her all the time. I'm Bill Skarsgård. That was pretty good. And it was nice to see June Squibb because her movie Thelma was one of the big breakout surprises for me last year. I love that film with the 90-year-old stunt woman June Squibb. So it was nice to see her represented there. ScarJo, did a great job with her.
Thelma, was that the one where she was in the home and her son went to visit her, or am I thinking?
Yeah, grandson. It's basically.
I loved that film. We saw that. I loved that film. That was a wonderful film.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite films of the year. Didn't quite enter my top 10, but it was such a great surprise.
It was.
She's so good in it, and the running bit is that she's like the Tom Cruise of the movie and doing all her own stunts when she's 90 years old. So it's really, really funny.
She looked good for 90.
Yes, absolutely.
I hope I look half as good if I make it. So this is the other one we talked about, Wicked, or best costume design, that it won.
Best costume, and that was one of those where they had the 5 presenters, which I really like at each time.
That was kind of
cool.
When
they have 5 people come out and they talk about each person, and which is kind of nice. I do like to see the clips instead.
But it was so funny when he's like,
that was good.
He was like, we were going to dress up and you changed your mind. It's like,
yeah, that was fantastic. Bowen Yang was great. And then the historic moment of that was the first black man to ever win in the best costume design category. So that was a historic moment.
And there were some more ones in some of the big awards for actress. I think there was another big first award for that, which we'll get to. But yeah, so best costume design, we picked Wicked. Wicked won. And this next one, film editing, we thought it was going to be, we both wanted Conclave. We thought it was going to be Conclave, and we were wrong. It went to
Baker. I think if there was any one that we were the most wrong about, it was this one, because I never even considered Anora for this award, which is kind of silly because if you think about it, if it's the front runner for Best Picture, it's probably a contender in editing because it's one of those categories that goes hand in hand with Best Picture. If it wins editing, it tends to win Best Picture. So, and so yeah, this was the beginning of Anora's great night, Sean Baker's great night. Mm-hmm. When Sean Baker won this award for editing, it clicked in my head immediately. It was like, okay, this is Anora's night. They're gonna probably win at the end of the night. So yeah, and Sean Baker, he got 4 opportunities to speak, as we saw throughout the night. Right. What happened on that? Where is my notes there? Oh, that was the Daryl Hannah moment. So Daryl Hannah was the only one that really was even remotely political as a presenter. And all she said was like Ukraine. Like I think she just said one word and said Ukraine and then moved on. So
that's all you need to really say. I guess.
Yeah. So yeah. And so as we'll see later, Sean Baker got to say some more things which were interesting. I wonder how modern day America, everyday America took some of what he said, but we'll talk about that later when we get to Best Director and everything.
So our next category was Best Cinematography, and we thought The Brutalist would get it, and The Brutalist did.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to. When you shoot on 70 millimeter and you make it look that amazing, I think it was very deserving. Again, they used the 5 presenters on cinematography, and they really put a spotlight on cinematography this year. It felt like they really put an emphasis because remember, a couple of years ago, that was the category they cut out completely from the ceremony.
Oh, I remember the firestorm over that.
Yeah, and people were really upset. So it did feel like this year they were like, all right, we're really going to put a spotlight, because they cut to the cinematographers in the crowd and really put an emphasis on that. But Lowell Crawley there winning for The Brutalist, very deserved. You know, and that was its second win of the night. It also had one score.
And we got the next one wrong. We thought best animated feature would be Wild Robot. We both picked it as our favorite, but it went to Flow, Janus Films, and Sideshow Pictures.
Yeah, that was a little disappointing. I think The Wild Robot, for me, is clearly the best animated film of the year. I think a lot of people felt that way, and I don't know if there was a political thing here with, hey, this is Latvia's first chance to win an award, maybe. I don't know. Flow's not a bad movie.
Balls in your court, Estonia.
Yeah, that was another good joke for Conan. Yeah.
A running joke later on in the show as well. Yeah.
But yeah, that was a little disappointing. Maybe it was wishful thinking that we wanted Wild Robot to win, but Flow ended up taking that, kind of stealing it away from Pixar, from DreamWorks. So, yeah.
When the gentleman from Paul Tazewell won Best Costume Design, he's like, looking at you, Estonia, balls in your court. So, yeah, he was using that joke, and it landed funny.
Conan in the callback. Yeah.
And the callback, yeah. Next one was Best Documentary Feature, and we didn't see any of them, so we thought no other land would make it, and it did. So
yeah, and that was interesting. That was the documentary that was kind of co-production between Israel and Palestine about displaced Palestinians, and it was a really, I was curious how that speech would go, because obviously you could be very political with it, and they didn't get overtly political. It was just basically saying a call to arms to work together. Which was nice to see, and you rarely see that, where Israel and Palestinians working hand in hand. So good moment there for the documentary.
We had Best International Feature. You thought I'm Still Here should win, but we thought Amelia Perez would get it, and I'm Still Here with Walter here we go again.
Salas. Walter
Salas. Yeah, that guy from Brazil.
Yeah, so this is where we really saw that Amelia Perez got hurt by all the controversy, because this was an easy win for Amelia Perez, a couple months ago.
Right.
But the better film won here, and I'm Still Here. So that was a great moment. Yeah, I was thrilled to see that, because I'm Still Here is such a better film that they made the right choice here.
Yeah, I agree. On that. Best Adapted Screenplay. We got this one right. We called Conclave, and Peter Strawn.
Yeah, so we got one of two screenplay awards here, right? We got Conclave right, and then we missed the original screenplay. Again, if I remember correctly, we both were saying this was a wishful thinking pick.
Oh, for Best Original Screenplay?
Yeah, that we really wanted A Real Pain.
We both loved The Real Pain. Yeah, I really wanted Jesse Eisenberg, and we'll see the other award that was given from that film.
But yeah, I think we knew that Honora was a highly likely to win, but we really wanted A Real Pain to win, so we went with that as our pick.
Yeah,
but Honora,
that one,
Honora got in there and won, and this was so this was his. Well, I think this was his second win of the night so far for Sean Baker. And this is where he leaned into the deepest respect for sex workers bit. So we really started to lean into this. And it's like, and I get that this is Sean Baker's thing. His last 4 films have all dealt with sex workers. He does a really good job humanizing the people on the fringes of society.
Right.
So I respect that, but it felt definitely kind of weird where he just kept saying, it's like, we love the sex workers, and it's all this. And it's just like okay. I mean, they are.
Yeah, I mean,
they are
true.
people too. Like they are people too. Obviously, it just kind of felt a little weird, and it's like I'm kind of curious on how everyday America kind of reacted to that. Of just like, okay, so
I'm sure everyday America loves sex workers as well.
True. I guess so.
That's not a political.
But I don't know. It's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't align with everyday Christian values, right?
True.
So which is largely what America pretends to be. So So I don't know. It was interesting that they leaned so heavily into that because I don't really. Yes, she plays a stripper in the show or in the movie, but I never really saw her as a sex worker. And maybe that's the testament to the movie. It's like she's a stripper and she does do the VIP shows on the side, but I don't know. I just thought that was interesting that they leaned so heavily into that of just like praising
like,
sex
is
work.
this over yet?
But yeah, so got that one wrong.
Yeah, that was a real pain speech. But anyway,
yeah, I would have much rather seen Eisenberg.
Possibly the best acceptance speech of the night was Best Supporting Actor, and we got this one right. Kieran Culkin. The story he had to tell, and he's like, I know you're gonna give me time. He's like, please don't play the music on this, and they oblige. And the great story about his wife owes him a fourth kid at this point.
Which if you watch all the awards shows and everything, he had this speech at I believe the Emmys where he won the Emmy, and then he said that bit about you promised a third kid. So this is a callback to that where, it's like, I don't know if you remember, but you said we'd have a fourth kid if I won an Oscar. And that was really good. I love the Robert Downey comment too.
I was about to say, yes.
He presented the award and he's like, said, you got to quit being as charming as me is what he basically said.
Yeah.
And he has been. Culkin has been the charmer of the award circuit. And much deserved win here. Happy to see it for him. So
same here. Yeah, like I said, it was one of the highlights of the night, and I was so glad he got it. I was like, this is one of the categories I did not want to surprise, and so I'm glad we got that. Possibly maybe the best overall speech was Zoe Saldana, who we wanted for Best Supporting Actress. We wanted Isabella Rossellini. Another from Conclave. That's kind of our guilty pleasure there. We really wanted her, but we thought Zoe Saldana would win, and she did as Best Supporting Actress. I loved her speech. It was so heartwarming and touching.
It really was. She was the most real, I think. It came off very authentic. She was very touched. She directed most of her speech to her family, who was off in the wings. And that was kind of the point of her whole speech, was about her family and that's how she got there. And so, it was a great speech, very deserved, very happy for Saldana.
And she's the first, is it Dominican Republic? Oh, gosh.
I believe she said Dominican, yes.
Yeah.
Of Dominican descent.
Descent. Okay. And she said if her grandmother could see this, so she knows she would really be proud. And I was like, oh gosh, I was almost in tears watching that, which I was about in tears when at the beginning opener when they were singing that we talked about earlier from Wicked.
Oh, Defying Gravity.
I was like, great performance, loved it. But yeah, Zoe Saldana, I'm so glad she had this moment, and it's I'm super happy for her. Once again, I was mentioning earlier with Karen Culkin winning Best Supporting Actor, I really wish Jesse Eisenberg would have won for A Real Pain for the screenplay there, and that would have been great if they both would have gotten awards. But
I will say that Eisenberg did get a chance to speak. He won at the Independent Spirit Awards, so he did get one opportunity to speak. And what was great about that speech was he really praised Emma Stone as a producer and as an encourager, like that she encouraged him to write the script and everything. They've been friends since Zombieland, and that she's just become this great producer now too. So
good for her. Good for her.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, and then we were correct on Adrian Brody and The Brutalist. I kind of was rooting for a Chalamet upset there, just to see somebody else win one, because Brody had one for The Pianist 20 years ago, which was interesting to see that he's won now for both of them. And he made a point in his speech to talk about how twice now he has represented, the face of battling anti-Semitism and racism and. So I thought, even though his speech was long-winded and he definitely ate up his moment.
They tried to play him off twice.
Yeah, they tried to play him off twice.
He wasn't having that.
I think I read something like this is. I think they're claiming that this is the longest Oscar speech in history by 10 seconds. But Guinness will have to get on that. And figure that out. But he did. It was like 5-6 minutes long, and some of it was very touching and important, and some of it was kind of like it almost seemed like he was rambling a little bit and trying to reel it back in. But he definitely tried to take that moment and be political. It was probably the most political speech of the night because he was trying to make a call to action. He didn't say some very overt things, but he was still basically saying, like, we need to fight what's going on in our country today.
Obviously, the length of his speech and probably the zaniness of Kieran Culkin's speech is probably what my speech would sound like at the Oscars. I'd still be going, the lights would be turned and I'm still talking, probably. I'm thanking everyone. But, yeah, I mean, we both kind of guilty pleasure wanted Ralph, or said we can call him Ralph. If he doesn't win, we could call him Ralph. That was a great joke. So I guess we can call him Ralph now. Ralph Fiennes for Conclave. We really both wanted him to win Best Actor, but we thought Brody would get it, and he did. And probably well deserved for The Brutalist. Best Actress, I thought Cynthia Erivo would get it. For Wicked, you thought Mikey Madison would get it for Nora, but we said no, they're going to give it to Demi Moore for The Substance, and you were actually right. Mickey Madison for Nora got Best Actress.
Yeah, this was interesting because it's like I again, as you see there, as you just said, like out of these 5, I would have voted for Mikey Madison, so I'm very happy for it. It was the breakout performance of the year, but you have to feel for Demi Moore here, don't you? Is like this could have been, her moment. Like, will she ever get back here, Demi Moore? Who knows? I don't know if how important it is to her or not, but it did feel kind of interesting. We talked about a little bit in our pre-show of how if they awarded Mikey Madison, that kind of undercuts the message of The Substance by awarding the young actress, the young ingenue, instead of the older actress. So it's kind of ironic here that they go with Mikey Madison, although I do believe Madison is more deserving. Her speech was interesting to me. Like, I think a lot of people thought it was pretty bland and like one of the worst speeches of the night because she did not say much, but I was really just impressed with how calm she was. Like, she's 25. Think about that. She's 25 years old. This is her first like big major leading role, and she's now an Oscar winner. And she's basically the front of, as we'll see, a Best Picture winner. And so, I mean, this is obviously huge for her career. If you've never seen her before, or you think you've never seen her before, you see there in the notes there, and that what you may know her from was she played one of the kids in Better Things. It was the Pamela Adlon show on comedy on FX. That's where I first saw her. Was she played one of the children of Pamela Adlon's character in that show. Very funny, and she's a moody teenager. Which, imagine that with her character. She's also in Scream 5, and she also, Sean Baker talked about seeing Mikey Madison in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that's why she got the role. So, but her star obviously rising. She's now an Oscar winner at 25 years old, and well deserved.
Definitely, yeah. It's kind of hard act to follow that early in your career. How do you top this when you reach the top? But I'm sure, hopefully, she has a long career ahead of her. Best director, I only picked James Mangold because that was the only film in here I saw, Complete Unknown, and that was arguably one of my favorite films of the year. Your pick was Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, but we thought Sean Baker for Anora would get it, and we were right on going with Anora for Best Director. And like you said, at this point, Anora was on a roll.
Yeah, absolutely. This was kind of seemed like a foregone conclusion. As after it won editing and screenplay, I figured it was going to win director as well. And this was the third time Sean Baker got to speak, and this time he urged people to go to the theater. So I did appreciate that whole thing, and it was cool to see Quentin Tarantino. He presented that, and especially with that connection with Mikey Madison, who was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And then for him, Tarantino, to basically present Baker with the award was pretty cool. I like that moment.
Yeah, it was really good. I was glad he won.
I mean, if Denis Villeneuve's not nominated, then it doesn't really matter, right? So,
kind of, yeah. But like I said, I was a little biased to A Complete Unknown because I really enjoyed that film, and that was the only one of those particular ones that I saw. So
yeah.
Best Picture, we both wanted Dune Part 2, but we thought Anora would get it, and Anora got it, and so we were right on that one for Best Picture.
Yeah, so it was the big night. That was presented by Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan. That was a good little Harry Met Sally reunion.
Yes.
So that was fun. But yeah, so basically Anora just capped off its big night. It won 5 awards. It led the way. So you see there, it had 6 nominations. It won 5. So, definitely the biggest night for them. 5 awards. The Brutalist followed up with 3 awards. Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, and Wicked all got 2 awards. And then there was a handful: Conclave, I'm Still Here, The Substance, A Real Pain, that got 1. So kind of spread out there a little bit. Most of the winners were Best Picture nominees. And then it didn't really get spread out to too many other films aside from A Real Pain outside of Best Picture nominees. But
yeah, you didn't really have any out of left field films, just that one film that came out of nowhere. It would be nice sometimes to go into it and just be totally surprised, to get that total shocker. That's a good shocker that, you don't think that person has a chance in hell in winning, and then they win, or so, I'm always rooting for that underdog, but
yeah, I think that was kind of when I think the first time Adrian Brody won, it was kind of like that, where it was kind of like, oh Lord, where'd that come from?
Yeah. Ooh, excuse me. But yeah, it was a great show. I enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know if it was my favorite Oscars, but it definitely was fun. Like we said,
no, I think I do think that Conan brought something that had been missing. I thought he did a great job. He himself said Billy Crystal is the greatest Oscars host, and he's right. But I thought Conan did an excellent job. So
yeah, he did.
He did make the joke that he would not be back next year. But
he's like, they're not paying me, he said, or they're not paying much. He's like, so, and I won't be back. So, whether that's true or not. I actually want him back now, but yeah, it was fun. He made it enjoyable because, to be honest, a lot of the films, especially the big films that dominated, weren't great box office. Some of them were, like Wicked.
You're seeing that pattern, and maybe it's been this way for a while now. I should have done some more research, but if you remember the last few Best Picture winners,
right,
they're all low budget films that that are more on the independent side, because you had Everything Everywhere All at Once, independent film, Coda, small film,
right.
Parasite, international film, Green, or what was before that, so basically the last big budget winner was maybe Shape of Water, so and even
even some
that,
people didn't really. Not everybody saw that film. Still,
yeah, exactly. So they are leaning towards smaller films to win Best Picture. Nomadland won recently. That didn't make any money, So it is they. You're right. They seem to be focusing on more smaller budget independent films are the ones that are coming through and prevailing in the end.
it's
When
yeah,
I,
it's
I,
like,
I honestly think it would be refreshing for them to reward Wicked, or a movie like Wicked, or a movie like Dune, where people have seen the film and love the film on a wide scale. So I do think if the Oscars ever want to get in touch with everyday society ever again, they might want to start rewarding the films that people actually know and see and love.
but we've kind of touched on that before in previous episodes here, where we've talked about that. We don't want the box office film. Like, then they tried something like that. Was that last year or something? Is like,
Well, they had the idea of doing most popular film, yeah, which the Golden Globes did do. They started the whole box office category, which is stupid.
yeah, um, yeah. I don't like that, but I just wish the most I don't really know that I wish the most popular films are the ones that win it, because it's really about what's the better film. But I do like, I'll see The Brutalists at some point. I'll block off a week of my life so I can stream parts with a lot of intermissions or whatever. But um it's weird because I felt like Wicked was that big enough film that everybody saw, that still seems like it would be a film Hollywood would love. Like,
Yeah.
obviously The Brutalist is one that they would love. That feels like a achievement in film, definitely.
And it's obviously subjective, but
it is.
I think, like, and I did enjoy Nora. I think it's a very good film, but I think a lot of critics would say that Wicked is a better film. I think that a lot would. So it is interesting how this voting plays out, where, like, if there was a moment for a big budget popular film to win Best Picture, you'd think it would be in this case for Wicked.
Right.
But
More so than Dune.
it didn't
Dune
happen.
just felt like, as great as Dune was, it kind of feels like it's another level. Like, it's better than the awards to me. It's like, I don't need it to get Best Picture for me to know it was the Best Picture.
I do think we touched on it in the pre-show. I do think that they're waiting to reward part 3, because you saw it 20 years ago with Lord of the Rings, where parts 1 and 2 barely won anything. I think they might have won visual effects and sound, and that was about it.
You're
but
like,
then
Peter Jackson's done it once, he's done it twice. Oh my God, he did it the third time, and he pulled off a damn near perfect trilogy 20 something years later.
With the third film, Return of the King, I believe it won 11 Oscars. It won basically everything it was nominated for.
It was 11 or 13, one or the other.
It was double digits. It was a massive night for them, where it won everything. So that's what I'm anticipating for Dune Part 3 when it comes out. That it will probably get that Return of the King treatment, and maybe our next big budget film to win Best Picture. So
yeah. What's left to say about the Oscars?
Not much. Obviously, we went over your. We never hit your goal of.
I was just super tired. I'm falling asleep. My eyes are half closed from like
But no, we touched on everything, but we all of my notes, we went over everything there. We touched on all the great performances, how good Conan was. Overall telecast, I really enjoyed it, and it was mainly because of Conan that I was entertained and really enjoyed it. So
yep. That's all I got. So yeah, I'm gonna end it because I'm tired. I'm about to fall asleep. Let me switch this back over. Remove that. Boom. So I want to thank you, Scott, for being here once again, and we're able to work our schedules out. Like we've been really regimented our schedule. It's been so busy the last couple of days. It's a busy week for me and you as well. So I'm glad we got to do this, and thank you for putting the list together for putting the nominees in there and what we did and didn't get. So that helped out tremendously. Because I'd still be doing it at this point. We never record. So anyway, I'm just gonna roll the outro here, and thank you everybody for watching. And anybody watch this on the replay, please comment. Thank you for everybody who joined us in the live stream here and all that. And I'm gonna mix this down, eventually get it out on the audio podcast form. So if you just want to listen to it there. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thumbs up the video if you watched it and enjoyed it. Thank you so much, and see you later. Bye. Welcome to the Geek Homeworld podcast. I am your host, Ed, aka the Savage Tech Man. We talk film, TV, and tech, all from a geek perspective. You can find us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and you can subscribe and follow on YouTube at Geek Homeworld. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Be a part of the Geek Homeworld.